Right, and welcome back to the channel. Stephen Howson, 5 things that we learned. United against Leeds. Drawing 2-2 at Old Trafford. Still feels like a loss. Literally. First up, Sancho spark. It was positive off the bench. Looked like he was bringing a little bit of quality. Still, his first instinct is to sort of size up his fullback, I think. And I'd love him for his first instinct to be just bang it into the space behind him. A little bit like, I think one of the reasons why Garnacho's been taken to by the fan base so much is his first thought. There was a time in the game when the ball was coming to Garnacho, and I said, knock it past him. And his first touch had put it into the space behind him, and he's got after it. Now, Ayling had a really good game against him. He's quick, and he can get into people just like that. And he's strong, and he's a big lad. So I think Garnacho struggled with him a little bit like that. Sancho's first instinct always seems to be to stand him a little bit. And I just wish sometimes just get round him because he can do that. I just wish he would do that. It was a lot more composed in possession than Garnacho was. Not necessarily a positive or a negative, just an observation. He did combine well with Rashford and Shaw. And I think it was a scrappy sort of frantic game. And it was a nice outlet in the final third that did bring that air of composure. And was maybe unlucky not to be involved in a little bit more as the game went on. Number 2, I touched on this in the review last night, and it was the build-up struggle. Leeds mid-block and pressing was excellent, almost like literally like you could call it a textbook example of what to do when trying to play against a superior opposition. They were fantastic. We really struggled to play through the intensity and aggression and shape and how narrow they were, narrow and compact. Such a good example of a mid-block. Fred was a disaster trying to get the ball through him and getting him on the ball. Just couldn't do it. Sabitzer had a little bit of a baptism of fire. I'd say he was pretty average. I don't think he was terrible, but I don't think he was great either. I think he was just a little bit ordinary. The back line was forced into wide areas in possession, and when you put us in the wide areas, it's pretty obvious. And when it's an obvious pass, it's an obvious press. So your right winger, the right man of the midfield 3, and the right back, when you go down your left, those 3 are right there to create a little triangle to press you with. And they did it well. They did an excellent job of doing that. Frustratingly, you miss Eriksen, you miss Casemiro, you miss that level of quality, and no one's got the balls to be able to take the ball on the turn and play through the centre. We need to find a way of doing that. Number 3, magnificent Martinez. Yesterday I did a video about him, about how pundits have just been totally wrong on him and haven't really pulled any apologies out. The apologies need to come still. I mean, he was sensational again. Plays with a fire and an attitude, and I think you lose that game if he doesn't play. He took the fight back to Leeds. He's just absolutely top class in everything that he does. Quality on the ball, defends aggressively. He's best in the league. He's absolutely best in the league, and I love him. Number 4, worryingly, is it Casemiro or bust for United? Right now, what he brings to the team cannot be touched, cannot be messed with, cannot be explained in the large way, and certainly cannot be replicated. The second string in some positions is too much of a drop-off to the first team, to the first choices in those positions. Eriksen and Casemiro being out might be a step too far for this Manchester United team without making some adjustments to how we play. When you're going to have a lot of the ball and you're going to have a team that's going to press you, you need quality and composure on the ball, and those are 2 things you don't associate with Fred. Those are 2 things that you do associate with Sabitzer, maybe a little bit further up the pitch than where we was asking him to play today. He has played there, not played there recently or regularly. And not having Eriksen or Casemiro, and Dalot actually, he had a great assist, but Dalot didn't look at the races today. He had a tough time against Nonto, who can do that because he's going to run you. But even in possession, which is something that Dalot's quite good at, he didn't look at the races at all today. We got bullied in the middles by McKennie and Adams. We lacked someone to take the ball under pressure. Just, you know how calm he is. You know what he's doing. We just didn't have it. It doesn't bode well for the next couple of games. And number 5, semi-tied into that, really. We've got a depth issue. We've got... The bench was basically the under-21s team. Injuries and suspensions have wiped us out. Ten Hag's done a miracle in his first couple of windows to bring in a little bit of depth. But to be a team that wants to challenge for the title, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. And that, do you know what? Maybe it's testament to how good a job Ten Hag has done that there's some people thinking we should be there yet because of the job that he's done. But we're not there yet. And to have him turn it around in 6-7 months was a little bit ridiculous anyway, wasn't it? But that's where he's put us. We got such a busy fixture schedule. The amount of games we've had is outrageous. The quality is getting tired. It was always going... You can't just run people... You've got to remember, there's been a World Cup in this. Most of them have gone. There's been travelling involved. There's been stress involved. There's a lot that's happened to this squad in 6 or 7 short months, and they're still in every cup competition. We've been decimated. And this month is a make or break month, not least because there's silverware in the mix. But it feels like we rely too heavily on a couple of players, and beyond those players, the level drops off so severely. There was a glimpse today with Marcus being so quiet off the right-hand side. What happens if he can't score? Managed to get his goal when he went back down through the middle, continuing this ridiculous run of form that he's in. But we did get a glimpse of, if he has a quiet game, there's not a lot of other stuff stepping up around him to be able to carry him if he needs it. And that's a problem. To be a title-winning side, players have to be able to take the night off. Not deliberately, but sometimes it don't go your way. And we need more big players that'll carry us in the big games. I worry for Sunday, because back at Ellen Road, with Leeds fans who are going to think they're all 10 men. And that's that. See you in the next one. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.